I never thought I would be that guy. The one who gets involved with a married woman. The one who knowingly steps into someone else's relationship. Yet there I was falling for Amanda, despite the gold band on her finger. What started as innocent workplace friendship crossed into territory I had sworn to avoid. The line between right and wrong blurred with every smile, every late-night conversation, every forbidden touch. Before I tell you how I became the very thing I once despised, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever found yourself caught between right and wrong. Trust me, this story might save you from making the same mistakes I did. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota where family values were everything. My parents celebrated their 40th anniversary last year, still looking at each other the way they did in their wedding photos. They set the gold standard for what I believed love should be: honest, loyal, enduring. Their relationship was my blueprint, the example I promised myself I would follow. That promise became even more important after what happened with Danielle. We dated for 3 years in college, even talked about marriage. Then I discovered she had been seeing someone else behind my back for months. The betrayal cut deep. I remember sitting in my car outside her apartment after finding out physically ill at the thought of all the lies. I swore then that I would never inflict that kind of pain on anyone. I would never be the cheater or the person someone cheats with. After college, I needed a fresh start. Chicago called to me with its opportunities and anonymity. I landed a marketing position at Patterson and Blake, a prestigious firm with blue-chip clients and a reputation for developing top talent. The pay was good, the work challenging, and for the first time in years, I felt like my life was on an upward trajectory. That was when I met Amanda. She was our team leader, 5 years my senior, and intimidatingly brilliant. In meetings, she would pick apart campaigns with surgical precision, finding weaknesses no one else noticed. Some colleagues found her cold, but I saw something else, a passion for excellence that matched my own. Our professional relationship developed gradually. She began seeking my input, valuing my perspective in a way that made me stand a little taller. We shared a similar aesthetic sense and complementary work styles. When the Westlake Hotels account came in, she specifically requested me for her team. The Westlake campaign demanded late nights and weekend work. That was when the professional lines began to blur. Over takeout dinners and caffeine-fueled brainstorming sessions, I learned about Amanda beyond the polished exterior. She loved obscure documentaries. She ran marathons. She collected vintage advertising posters. And she was married to James, a software developer she met in graduate school. I noticed how her voice changed when she mentioned him becoming flatter, more distant. But I pushed the observation aside. Her marriage was none of my business. The attraction crept up slowly, like a tide coming in. I found myself looking forward to our meetings too eagerly. I started choosing clothes in the morning, thinking about whether she would like them. When she laughed at my jokes, something warm bloomed in my chest. I tried to ignore these feelings. She was married. She was my superior. Both facts should have been enough to stop whatever was developing. But they were not. The company holiday party changed everything. Amanda looked stunning in a deep blue dress, her usual professional armor softened. We ended up on the terrace despite the December chill, the city lights glittering below us like fallen stars. James and I have not really connected in years, she said quietly, her third glass of wine loosening her usual reserve. We live parallel lives now, like roommates who occasionally share a bed. I should have murmured something sympathetic, but professional. Instead, I found myself saying, "That must be lonely." "It is," she admitted, her eyes meeting mine. "Sometimes I wonder if this is all there is. Working, coming home to someone who barely sees me sleeping, repeating." When I reached for her hand, I told myself it was simple compassion. When she stepped closer, I told myself it was just the cold. When our lips met, I had no more excuses. The guilt hit immediately. I pulled back apologies, tumbling out. But Amanda was calm, her eyes clearer than they had any right to be. "I have wanted to do that for weeks," she said. "Have you not felt it too?" I had. But admitting it felt like stepping off a cliff. "You are married," I said, the words sounding hollow, even to me. "On paper," she replied, "not in the ways that matter." Over the following days, she pursued me subtly, but persistently. Text messages that started as work-related drifted into personal territory. She found reasons for us to work late together. Each time I felt my resistance weakening. We deserved to feel something real. She told me one evening, her fingers intertwined with mine across her desk after everyone else had gone home. "Just once, do not we deserve," that I knew it was wrong. I knew I was betraying everything I claimed to stand for. But I gave in anyway, silencing the voice of conscience with rationalizations about her failing marriage and our undeniable connection. Our affair took shape in the margins of our lives. Hotel rooms booked under her name. Hotel rooms booked under her name. Lunch breaks that extended too long. Text messages deleted as soon as they were read. Each encounter felt like stepping into an alternate reality, one where only the two of us existed. Amanda painted a picture of her marriage that made our relationship seem almost noble rather than sordid. "James was emotionally unavailable," she said. "He prioritized work over their relationship. He did not understand her the way I did. They had not been intimate in months. He does not even notice when I am not home," she told me, as we lay in a hotel bed, the afternoon sun filtering through cheap curtains. "He is too busy with his projects." I believed her, because I wanted to. I was falling for her, constructing a narrative where we were star-crossed lovers, rather than participants in a betrayal. I imagined a future where she would leave James, where we could be together properly. She never explicitly promised this, but she never discouraged the fantasy either. We became experts at deception. I learned to lie smoothly to colleagues about why Amanda and I often left the building together. I created fictional friends as excuses for my sudden unavailability to my real ones. The ease with which dishonesty came to me was disturbing, but I pushed that thought away too. There were moments of pure joy in our stolen time together. Amanda was intelligent, passionate, and attentive in ways that made me feel uniquely valued. When we were alone, the outside world with all its complications seemed distant and unimportant, but reality has a way of asserting itself. 6 months into our affair, inconsistencies in Amanda's story began to surface. She would mention weekend plans with James that contradicted earlier claims about their distant relationship. Once she canceled our plans, claiming a family emergency only for me to see her social media update about a dinner date with her husband. "Marriage is complicated," she said, when I carefully questioned these contradictions. "Some days are better than others. I am trying to keep the peace until I figure things out." Then came the photo incident. Amanda was showing me pictures of a potential vacation spot on her phone when a notification caused her to swipe to her photo gallery. I glimpsed a recent picture of her and James arms around each other on a beach, looking blissfully happy. She quickly swiped away, but the image stayed with me. A week later, I accidentally overheard her on the phone with James. Her voice was warm, loving, even completely different from how she described their interactions. "I miss you too, babe," she said, unaware I was within earshot. "Yes, I will pick up that wine you like. Love you." The dissonance was jarring. When confronted, Amanda explained it away, as playing the role to keep things smooth at home. I accepted this explanation despite my growing unease. The most troubling incident came when I met Tara, a friend of Amanda's from another department. The look Tara gave me was strange, a mix of pity and recognition that made my skin crawl. Later, through casual conversation with colleagues, I discovered that Tara had been close with an account manager named Michael, who had suddenly transferred to the Denver office last year. Curiosity aroused, I did some digging. Michael had worked closely with Amanda on a major campaign, just as I did now. I found his profile online and messaged him with a question about the Denver office, establishing a correspondence. After several exchanges, I carefully brought up Amanda. "Be careful there," he wrote back. That situation got complicated for me. He did not elaborate, but the implication was clear. I was not the first. More disturbing was finding evidence that Amanda systematically deleted our message threads. Once I glimpsed her phone as she cleared our entire conversation history immediately after responding to me. The final revelation came like a thunderclap. During a team lunch, Amanda excused herself abruptly, looking ill. When she returned, she confided only to me she was pregnant, and it might be mine. My world tilted on its axis. "What about James?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "We have been trying for years," she said, her expression unreadable. "This could complicate things." The pregnancy revelation sparked an investigation I should have conducted months earlier. I reached out to a colleague who had been at the company longer than me, carefully framing questions about previous team dynamics. What I learned shattered any remaining illusions. Before Michael, there had been David in accounting. Both men had worked closely with Amanda. Both had left the company under somewhat mysterious circumstances. My colleague did not state outright that Amanda had affairs with them, but his knowing look said everything. "Just watch yourself with her," he advised. "Office politics can get messy." I finally contacted Michael, directly abandoning all pretense. His response was a gut punch. "She told me her marriage was over too," he wrote. "Then when I pushed about making things official, she got pregnant. Turned out they had been actively trying for a baby the whole time we were together." I requested the transfer after James showed up at the office one day, completely unaware of anything, talking about their excitement for impending fatherhood. I could not look him in the eye. Everything clicked into terrible place. Amanda's inconsistent stories, the happy photos, the deleted messages. She had no intention of leaving James. Each affair was just a diversion, an excitement to complement her marriage, rather than replace it. The final confirmation came when I followed her after work one day, something I had never imagined myself doing. She met James at an upscale restaurant, watching her transform from the woman I knew into a devoted wife. The James the first observed was nothing like the emotionally distant workaholic she had described. He pulled out her chair, listened attentively to her stories, reached for her hand across the table. His face lit up when she spoke. This was a man deeply in love with his wife. The weight of what I had been participating in crashed down on me. I had become exactly what I most despised. The other man, the cause of potential pain, to someone who had done nothing to deserve it. The memories of my own agony, after Danielle's betrayal, resurfaced with visceral clarity. For days I could barely sleep. When I did, I dreamed I was James, blissfully unaware that my life was built on lies. I imagined the devastation he would feel upon discovering the truth. Worse, I realized that if Amanda had done this before, she would likely do it again. The child she carried, regardless of paternity, would be raised in a home where infidelity was routine. The man I had been raised to be, the values my parents had instilled in me, the promise I had made to myself after Danielle, all of these rose up in rebellion against what I had become. Each day at work, seeing Amanda continue our relationship while carrying what might be my child felt like another step into a moral abyss. The decision crystallized slowly, but inexorably. I had to walk away completely. Not just from the affair, but from the company, from any situation that kept me in her orbit. I had to reclaim whatever shreds of integrity remained to me. I requested a meeting with Amanda outside of work, at a quiet cafe where we had never been together before. Her smile when she saw me quickly faded as she registered my expression. "This has to end," I said without preamble. "All of it. I cannot do this anymore." She reached for my hand. I pulled back. "Is this about the baby? Because we can work through that. James never has to know." The casual cruelty of that statement reinforced my resolve. This is about who I have become, someone I promised myself I would never be. Her tactics shifted, cycling through the manipulations that had worked before. First came hurt. I thought what we had was special. Then anger. You are just going to abandon me now. Then seduction. We can be more careful. No one will know. When none of these worked, her demeanor changed completely. The mask dropped, revealing a coldness I had glimpsed, but never fully acknowledged. You are not the first, you know, she said, her voice eerily calm. And you will not be the last. This is what I do. James gets the stability and family life. I get excitement on the side. Everyone wins. Except for the men you use and discard, I replied. And James, who deserves better. James will never know unless you tell him, she said, the threat implicit. And that would hurt your career far more than mine. Think carefully about your next steps, Rick. I left that cafe feeling both wounded and strangely liberated. The woman I thought I knew had never really existed. The connection I thought we shared had been expertly manufactured. Walking away was painful, but continuing would have destroyed whatever remained of my self-respect. The professional consequences began immediately. Amanda became coolly professional in meetings, but small retaliations accumulated. My ideas were suddenly less viable. My projects received more scrutiny. Assignments I would have normally received went to others. Colleagues who had observed our previous closeness now gave me curious or knowing looks. Rumors circulated, though no one confronted me directly. The office atmosphere became suffocating. Before Amanda could control the narrative completely, I requested a meeting with our department director. Without implicating Amanda directly, I acknowledged a personal situation that had affected my professional judgment and expressed my desire to transfer to another team. The director, a shrewd woman who had likely seen similar situations before, agreed without pressing for details. The transfer provided breathing room, but not escape. The weight of what I had done, the person I had allowed myself to become, followed me. Friends noticed my withdrawal, but could not understand the reason for it. How could I explain that I had betrayed not just another man, but my own most fundamental values? I started therapy, something I had always dismissed as unnecessary. My therapist helped me unravel the choices that led me to the affair. We explored my need for validation, my willingness to believe convenient lies, my capacity for compartmentalizing moral contradictions. The work was painful but necessary. One question haunted me. Did James deserve to know? After weeks of deliberation, I composed an anonymous letter, with just enough information to alert him to the pattern, without specific details about my involvement. Whether he received it or acted on it, I never knew. The act itself was not about revenge, but a minimal attempt at rectifying harm. The months that followed were a slow climb back to solid ground. I reconnected with my family, drawing strength from their unwavering support even without sharing the specific situation. I rebuilt routines, centered around health and genuine connections. I declined invitations that might put me in Amanda's social circle. When I learned she had given birth, I experienced a complex wave of emotions. The timing suggested the child was likely James's, not mine, which brought both relief and a strange sense of loss. I made a donation to a family charity in an anonymous act of atonement. Gradually, the grip of shame loosened. I began to distinguish between what I had done and who I fundamentally was. The affair had been a profound moral failure, but it did not define my entire character. I could acknowledge my wrongdoing while committing to better choices moving forward. A year after ending the affair, I accepted a position at another firm across town. The fresh start was invigorating. Without the daily reminder of my mistakes, I could focus on rebuilding my professional reputation and personal integrity. Then came the encounter I had simultaneously dreaded and hoped for. At an industry conference, I found myself face to face with James. My heart pounded as he approached me directly. "Rick." "Right. From Patterson and Blake, I nodded, preparing for confrontation or even violence. Instead, he offered his hand. I wanted to thank you, he said quietly, for walking away, and for the warning. My letter had reached him after all. He had investigated and discovered Amanda's pattern of affairs. Rather than ending the marriage immediately, they had entered counseling. They were working on their relationship for the sake of their child. Most men in your position would not have made that choice, he continued. It took integrity. Integrity. The word I had thought I might never deserve again. As we parted, James added, "We all make mistakes. What matters is how we respond to them." Those words stayed with me, becoming a touchstone in the life I was rebuilding. 2 months later, I met Sophia at a friend's dinner party. She was warm, genuine, and direct in ways that made Amanda's manipulations seem like a strange dream. Our connection developed slowly, built on a foundation of honest communication. When the relationship became serious, I faced my greatest challenge, telling Sophia about my past. The possibility of losing her respect terrified me, but I could not build something real on omission. To my amazement, she listened without judgment. "That story is not about who you are," she said when I finished. "It is about who you decided not to be." The choice to walk away matters more than the mistake of getting involved. Today, Sophia and I have been together for 2 years. The relationship is neither perfect nor dramatic, but it is honest. I have learned that integrity is not about never making mistakes, but about the courage to face them and change course, even when it hurts. Walking away from Amanda was the hardest and best decision I ever made. It taught me that character is not defined in moments of clarity, but in moments of confusion, when the right path is obscured by desire or fear. It is in those moments that we discover who we truly are. I often think about the parallel life where I stayed with Amanda, sinking deeper into deception and self-betrayal. That version of me would have lost something essential, something worth far more than any temporary passion or validation. Have you ever stood at a similar crossroads, facing a choice between what is easy and what is right? Between temporary fulfillment and lasting integrity? Leave a comment below sharing your experience or what you would have done in my situation. If this story resonated with you or might help someone facing similar temptations, please like, subscribe, and share it with them. Sometimes the stories that are hardest to tell are the ones others most need to hear. Thank you for listening to mine. And remember, it is never too late to choose the person you want to be.